sitting here with the awesome Keef Cross. He's back for day 3, and we promised to sit down with you and talk about the process of being a master storyteller. And Keef Cross came in to talk about DayBlack, his comic book. I was going to bring my comics today, and I left him. That's what happens when you have small children in the house. I got a grandchild in there now. Mm-hmm. And when you get ready to go, there's talking, things going on, and your whole list of stuff.
You know I know what you're saying.
You know that.
Clearly I know what you mean.
He knows the life. Take a look at Keef right now. Got the baby there. All right. So we're going to talk about the process of storytelling, of how to build your career, and the creativity. So we talked about creativity and process on Monday. On Tuesday, we talked about the business and inspiration. And today, Keef Cross is going to talk to us about the story itself, the characters, and where's it going, where's it coming from, who are these people, where is this town, where in the world is it, and hopefully we get enough insight today so that you can just go out there and buy the book. Go to DayBlackComic.com, scroll down in the main page, find either the physical book or the PDF, and download it now so you can catch up to what's going on, all right? Cool. So let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsors, because they're gracious enough to give us the space to sit here, like Sam Flax and other folks. Here we go. Bam.
Right. I'm already thinking about what I'm saying. I'm thinking about him.
You already thinking?
Yeah, I'm like, this is not going to go good.
Well, we're back, everybody. This is DTM. You're looking at me. You're talking to me. Please join in. Leave some questions. Leave some comments. I'm monitoring the YouTube channel. And we're on Facebook right now. We have a camera over there that's giving us the Facebook look. Let's see how we're looking over there still. I think it's still up. Let's double check. Because we're running all types of cameras and things here. I cannot see it, and why is that? And this is stop. Didn't stop. Here we go. Let's go ahead and reset that. But you can see me. If you can hear me well, say something. I'm going to double check the sounds. Come on. Yep, we got good sound. Just beautiful. All right, so without further ado, here goes the main man, the creator, the author, the artist, the father, the uncle, the son, the brother. Do you have brothers or sisters?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you're a brother.
I am an uncle too. Yeah, I am an uncle.
There you go, see, all those things. Mr. Keef Cross. Give him a hand, everybody. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Not bad. It's been a little trying this morning. There's always one thing or another, but we're back. So let's pick up where we left off, which was talking about the characters, because you introduced us to a couple characters, and you were mentioning how they're related, and why the story began in slavery. Right, or that's where your timeline starts, not where the story begins. The story begins just with Merce, right? The comic book.
Right.
So so let's pick that up. We have a character named Merce. He's a vampire, and he lives in a town called DayBlack. Where is this town?
Okay, so DayBlack is a fictional town, obviously, that I created based in Georgia. It's like a small kind of country town. It used to be an industrial city, and in the story there was these smokestacks from this power plant that used to be operational, but because of a meltdown they shut it down. But the end result was these big huge clouds of pollution that circled just that city, that blocks the sun out, which is why I got the name DayBlack, because every day is kind of overcast outside. You kind of see the sun, but it's kind of just like a warm glow in the sky. It doesn't really penetrate the clouds.
It doesn't really give light.
Right, it doesn't really give light. So just imagine every day is like it's about to rain, look like a gray day. You know? And really, the whole concept that came from is originally I was born in Gary, Indiana, and that was they had steel mills. They had these steel mills in Indiana where it employed a lot of the people there. But when the steel mills shut down, that really crippled the city in a sense, and it caused a lot of crime and everything to go up because the unemployment rate went up so high. Yeah. So that's where I got the initial, and it's crazy because I didn't even think about that as I was writing it. That's just one of those things that came through, and I thought about it like, wow, that's crazy. This is a coincidence that I literally came from a city like this. You know,
it's a coincidence. It was in your mind.
It was in my mind, and it just comes out. It's like nothing is ever really deliberate. It just kind of comes out, and then you kind of backtrack and see where you got the idea from. You know. Yeah. So that's where initially the concept of DayBlack came from, and pretty much in this town after the power plant or the meltdown happened, the town was evacuated, and then years later. It was repopulated with people that didn't necessarily mind living in a town where the sun doesn't shine, which in itself brings a whole different type of class of people. Like, if you cool to live in a town where the sun doesn't shine, that kind of says something about you. You know what I'm saying? So that just leaves me open to have all kind of like crazy characters featured in that town.
So once property values dropped, once the infrastructure broke down and the government left, they kind of renewed the city. Right. Well, and now everything's cheap. Rent is cheap again.
Well, the thing about this is, and I haven't even. This is going to happen in a future issue, and I'm doing a DayBlack Zero issue that has more of the origin. Okay. But actually, Merce is the one who kind of stumbled upon this town. He was dropping acid, and he woke up in this field, and he was in the field. He was in this field, and he saw this deserted town. And he noticed that he wasn't on fire. He passed out in the field, and it was nighttime when this happened. When he woke up, he saw that he was in this town, and the sun was out, but he wasn't burning. So he's like, all right, I'm about to set up shop here. So he physically went in. He's got all kind of money. He's been around for years. So he went in and renovated the buildings himself. He went and hired. He put an ad out to pretty much populate this town. Like rent is super cheap. It started employing people to work in the little business and stuff like that. So he's really the landlord of this whole place. Nice. Nobody knows it. But I hadn't even gotten to all that yet in the book, so this is going to happen.
You're getting the backstory right now, okay? Pay attention, pay attention.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he populated this town himself. Yeah.
Okay, so when you thought of this idea of the setting for the story in the city or a town called DayBlack, did that environment spring from you trying to find a place where Merce can live and that character already existed in your mind, or did they evolve together, or one came?
Well, I don't know. It kind of evolved together because at first it wasn't necessarily in Georgia. It was just a town called DayBlack. But I love Atlanta, so I really wanted to incorporate Atlanta in there some kind of way. And I knew that he wasn't really comfortable around his own kind because, well, I'm not going to get to that, but there's a reason why. But I really wanted to have him isolated from the rest of the world. Like, in this world, he's kind of a renowned tattoo artist, but he doesn't do interviews. He doesn't do any kind of press, mainly because he's a vampire, and you can't see him on camera. And so he really avoids the press, but he's known throughout the world as being this world-renowned tattoo artist. So, but I don't know. I just kind of wanted to keep him isolated. because he's lived that life, and this is going to open it up to other stories where he is out in the world living a traditional vampire life as far as not being able to walk around and during the day. So these are stories I'm going to tell later, but for right now, it's just focused on this little part of this little segment in time.
I asked that because when you're reading the comic book, you think it could be any town, and it's like, how are these people getting away with this? You know, because there's a person missing, so somebody's looking for somebody, and I guess people come up missing when they try to take a picture or something. I forget how that went with that girl.
See, there are key people in the town that know what Merce is. You know what I'm saying? The police know who he is. The people that run the businesses know. You know what I'm saying? So certain things, they're just like, oh, okay, well, we know what this is. We're gonna, we're gonna brush this under the rug. But it's kind of like, even like the show Twin Peaks. Like, it's just one of those kind of towns where anything strange can kind of happen, and they're like, well, you know where you are. So, you know.
And that's what I like about it, and that's why I asked, because DayBlack feels like it is a town where this kind of ends up being a normal thing.
Right.
And whereas if you would say, well, this is in Atlanta, it's like, no, hell no, because there'll be some people, there's some nosy people. Right. There's, people who are tripping out all the time.
Yeah, and you got to think, I even talk about it in the first volume where one of the a record store owner is telling Merce, he was like, it's not natural to live in a town where it's not night or day. That throws you off. That throws your equilibrium off anyway. You know what I'm saying? So everybody walking around is a little off anyway. Like, do I sleep now or should I wake up? Is it early or is it late? You know what I'm saying? You just don't know.
Yeah. I get it. So tell us a little bit about how Merce got there. You said he woke up there. It was tripping. Decided to put down roots and build a community, and I guess that's a way to cultivate your victims also. Right.
Oh yeah. It's just keeping everything contained. If you have a small town, like, everybody knows each other. You know what I'm saying? It's the city is kind of away from the mainstream people. Like, it's kind of off the beaten path. So that way you can kind of keep to your cattle per se. You know what I'm saying? You kind of know where everybody's doing, where everybody's been. And he's got everybody cataloged. He has a dialysis center there. Like, he's really cleaning blood, like a blood bank, all that stuff. He thought of everything for this town.
We may need to see like a layout one day.
Yeah, I know. That's that perspective. You got to take my word for it.
Or just a flat map. It could be a flat map.
I know.
I don't know.
I got to get around to that one.
Yeah. we need a team of artists to come and hang out with you and just pull the stuff out of your head.
Right. Yes. Any mapographers.
There you go. So we have Merce. He has his tattoo shop, and he has an assistant.
Yes.
Her name is
Maya.
And there's somebody that you know in life that you pull from.
Yes, this is actually when I worked at the first tattoo shop I worked at. It was this shop in the flea market called Alien Touch Tattoo. It was in 5 Points Mall.
It was downstairs.
It was upstairs.
It was upstairs. Okay.
Yeah, it was upstairs. And there was a receptionist that worked with me. Her name was Leslie. You know Leslie Gordon.
Sounds very familiar.
She used to work at West End. She was a receptionist at West End too, but she's a chef now. But yeah, her name was Leslie, and as I was creating DayBlack, I definitely wrote her into it and there's this one scene, if you read the book, where she takes her she wears a head wrap and she takes it off. And her hair is like real nappy and just real knotted and just like, and that's a real thing. Like, when I met Leslie, she always wore these head wraps. She never took it off, but one day she took it off and let me see it. I felt so honored. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, really? You felt like?
Yeah. And this was the first time I ever saw like freeform dreadlocks that were just kind of growing on their own. And I was just amazed by it. So, and then she was just a really cool person on top of that. So I just wrote her into it because, like I said, he was me. So she was my receptionist assistant, so it was I was just really chronicling what was going on.
And that's a team up.
Yeah, it was
and that's a good team up because she has his back.
Yeah.
She knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
And she tries to help buffer.
But little to her knowledge that she is under his control. And she doesn't know that.
She thinks she's a willing participant, but at the end of the day, he has that all under control.
Yeah.
And stuff. I got you. All right.
She sees stuff happening. And she just kind of shrugs it off. Like, she sees a dead body, like, oh, okay. Well,
this one didn't make it.
Yeah, right. Instead of panicking and calling 911. So,
right.
But her backstory is also a lot deeper too. really, really deep than what anybody's probably seen so far. Like right now, she probably just seems like kind of a secondary character. But
what's a little bit about her backstory that you can tell us so far?
I will say this: when I was talking to you about the time that he had the acid trip and he woke up in the middle of a field, well, initially, well, you know what? No.
What can you say?
Okay.
You gotta say them for the page.
I really can't say anything, actually. All I can say is her father. Okay. All right. How about this? Her father was a tattoo artist in DayBlack before the meltdown.
Okay.
And he's the man that taught Merce how to tattoo.
Okay.
I will say that much.
That's good.
So she doesn't know this.
Oh. Okay. That's a nice little twist there for later.
Yeah.
That could be a reveal or something that you think that started leading you somewhere. And if you did not listen to this interview and this live stream, you would not know it. Because those of us who are listening to this now are going to look for that eventually for the story.
Right. It is going to happen.
It's going to happen. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want it to be like those trailers where you see a cool trailer and then you're watching the movie. It's like, well, where's that scene?
Right. And another thing about her is she also reflected my time as an apprentice, because in the book she's a tattoo apprentice. So she's doing things like, I remember when I first started, how we had to physically make needles with the pens and literally solder them and make our needles.
Yep.
And the guy that was training me, he was like, you want to just know that for that clean line you did, that you made that needle, and that we can't just go buy these needles like the rest of these people. Which I just ended up buying them after all, because who's got time to do that anymore? But I'm glad that I learned how to do that. And and you'll read the book and you'll see her griping on like, oh, he's got me making these needles, and then he leaves, she'll get on the phone and call up and order a bunch of needles from the tattoo supply place. So it's just little stuff like that tattoo artists will be able to appreciate, or anybody in an apprentice internship situation will appreciate.
And that student-teacher relationship, where the teacher's trying to be rigid and disciplined, and the student's trying to find ways around stuff. I got you. That makes sense. All right, cool. So, what can we know about the other tattoo artists? Because there's more tattoo artists, and no, not in that town.
Not right now. Not right now.
Oh, I do know what's going on in the story.
Okay.
The vampires are coming to DayBlack.
Yes.
And that's because they heard, or they figured out now that there is a place where it's darkness all the time and it can be out day or night.
Exactly.
And that's why they're coming.
That was going to get out sooner or later. Like, there's no way they weren't going to find out about that.
He couldn't keep that to himself. No.
So they're on their way.
But wait a minute, before we get to that part, there's a Mexican orphan that Merce had been given money to help raise him wherever he was. And he became a vampire hunter killer. Now, how did that happen that you're the vampire, you put in money to raise somebody? I'm thinking like those, it's those, what are those telethons where you put money into somebody, some organization, and they're helping the community. But then that kid grows up to be a hunter.
Right. Yeah. Man. Well, it definitely started from me watching those commercials and always feeling bad. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, I can't really do it myself, but I'm going to write, my character's going to do it. He's going to sponsor a fictional kid. But I don't know. I just like the dynamic of taking care of someone and they're pretty much raised to destroy you, but they still appreciate you so much that they kind of give you a pass. It's
like you built in an ironic situation here.
Right.
And I'm trying to think like, well, when did this kid decide that he was going to be a vampire killer? And does he know that Merce is a vampire? Did they have correspondence and communication?
Right. Well, and this is something that I hadn't written in yet, but I'll let you know right now. But Bryce's or Radamez's parents, I don't know if I said this in the other interview, but his parents were killed by vampires.
Oh.
So that's why he has a desire to be a vampire hunter.
Okay.
And
he's avenging.
Right. And in my world, like I stated before, all Mexicans are vampire hunters. Since the beginning of time, that's just what they do. only Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? That's just their lineage. That's just what
I like that though. You know that,
that's
right?
it. Exclusively this. So when they come to this country, they take these jobs. It's seemingly these jobs that nobody want, but in the fact they're actually here to protect us because America has the highest population of vampires. So they're really here for our benefit, even though they get dogged out a lot. So that's another case of irony. You know what I'm saying? Like if only people knew what really they were here to do. And Radamez is pretty much the baddest out of all of them. He's the most. He's killed probably the most vampires. All the vampires know his name. They fear him. But the only one he gives a pass is his dad, Merce. You know.
So then it was destiny that the Radamez would become a vampire hunter anyway because he's Mexican.
Right. Well, not necessarily. Not to say all Mexicans are vampire hunters, but if you're gonna be one, 9 times out of 10 you're Mexican.
It's a Mexican.
Yeah, because that's like it's only a skill that they pass down.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. You're giving me inspiration here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Now, but I will say this: even though there are exceptions, because and you read in Volume 1 that he was trained by a guy named Bolo, and Bolo was actually a black man who was in the Black Panther Party, but they exiled him because he tried to tell the members of the party, like, hey, stop trying to kill white people or stop trying to rebel against these white people. We need to get against these vampires. They're a real threat. Of course, they laughed him out of the party.
Right.
So he moved to Mexico, became a drunk, and kind of just fell off. But then he met Radamez, who kind of sparked his desire to learn again. So he started teaching Radamez how to fight and how to do this and become one of the best, vampire hunters.
That is crazy good.
Yeah.
So do you keep track of these characters and storylines and ideas? Do you write them down?
I write them as I do it. I write when I come up with it, I write it, and I just, like I said, it's not really a lot of premeditation or a lot of preparation. I just do it as it comes to me. I just do it.
Okay.
You know, not to say, and I'm not boasting about that. Like I'm sure I would probably be more effective if I did do that. But that's just where I am right now with it. Like it's just more like it just got to hit me, and then I just go with it. You know. But
I think it's okay if it's taking you time to develop. Like right now, you're telling us straight up from point A to point B the story, but I'm sure it's taking time.
Oh yeah,
to formulate it and build it and put it together.
When I'm writing, when I'm in writing mode, then I am working all this stuff out. Like I might be working it out in my brain, then I'll write it, but I don't have like notes like, okay, he does. I mean, if I'm drawing the character, I might on the left have a little notes on he does this or he does that, you know. But usually when I'm writing, it comes out all at one time. It just all kind of comes out.
Gotcha. So let's talk a little bit about. I want to get to the main characters. Merce is a twin.
Yes.
And he has a brother.
Yes.
And that's it. No sisters, no nothing. Just them two for now.
Them two for now.
And when they're twins, so Merce is the kickback, relaxed one, and Bryce is the weird, crazy one.
Right.
Did you find a person or a list of people in your life, or that you said, you know, Bryce is gonna have this kind of character and it's gonna that you had an influence on, that influence from?
Definitely.
How many characters or how many people?
Well, definitely my father, but I could see my father could be in Merce and Bryce. My cousin, because I have a cousin who suffers from schizophrenia, and his personality was not a lot of Bryce, but some of the quirks he had that I remembered, I try to put in there. But it's still like Bryce is psycho, he's crazy, but they're still brothers and they still love each other. But Bryce is just crazy, and Merce, for example, is more on my grandfather. My grandfather was somebody who I admired, who I always wanted to be like. He's the first man that I met that was an atheist, which blew my mind as a kid. I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not an atheist myself. I don't really subscribe to any religion, but he still put it in my brain early to even know that was even a possibility, to even question anything that I've been told for all my life, you know. So my grandfather was a major influential person, and he's actually going to be my apprentice Maya that I was telling you about earlier. Her father when I do him, he's going to be a direct reference of my grandfather. Like, he's going to be a spit image of him. And he's going to be the one that takes Merce under his wing and teaches him how to tattoo and teaches him how to run a tattoo shop. And but you got to keep in mind that Merce still has this humanity in him. And what I haven't, I'm just telling a lot that I haven't written in the story yet. But the thing about Merce is, and the reason he feels so compelled to do things like, I'm going to adopt this kid, Radamez, or I'm going to do these things to not necessarily kill people, is because in this world, when you get bit by a vampire, the process is a minute. It's 60 seconds. When he got bit first, the bite was interrupted, so he only got 30 minutes of that bite before his mother had to stop. So he got physically all the attributes of a vampire, but mentally he's still human. So this is a reason why his mother is trying to get back with him, because she knows she owes him 30 seconds for him to fully be converted. Because if he was a full vampire, he wouldn't be caring about any of this stuff. He wouldn't be living in that town. He wouldn't be caring about Radamez. He wouldn't be worrying about not killing people. He would just be living his vampire best life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but like I said, I hadn't gotten to any of that yet. Nobody knows. If you're watching this now, you're just getting a lot of. I probably shouldn't even be saying, man, but when you just get me talking about it, I cannot say this and not say that. You know, I can't tell you this and not tell you that. So I don't know.
Good. See, that's good. That's what the Masters of Storytelling is all about. Once you ask them a question, it flows right out.
You see, if I worked for Marvel, or they would probably be. They couldn't. I couldn't be. They're like, we got to. Man, you tell a whole story, man.
Well, what they can do is use this video as some of the source materials. Like, okay, now you're going to work on that story.
Right.
All right, so let's get to the story that's actually happening in the book. What I got excited to see was how somebody's shooting people.
Yes.
And just yesterday. Oh, go ahead. What, you going to butt in something?
Shooting them in the butt.
That's right, shooting them in the butt. That's right. and I was going to get to what the man shooting people is, but after I say what I was going to say was yesterday I pulled up somewhere, in the gas station, and I see this guy. He's like at least 40 years old. I'm like, why are your pants below your butt and your underwear still out?
Right.
Like, I can see when you're 10, 15, 20, you want to be like a celebrity, you want to look, act like you're a rock star, but you're just a regular dude. Like, what is going on? So I got excited when I saw it, because that also relates to the short film.
Right.
And I want to see where that goes. And I remember there was a conversation between the guy who was shooting and Merce, I think. So tell us a little bit about that guy who's shooting people.
Well, that was a character named Kubrick, and he is from some country not specified, kind of like Balki Bartakamus. I don't know if you remember Perfect Strangers. But the guy, his name was Balki, and they never really specified what country he was from. He was just somewhere foreign. That's pretty much Kubrick. And Kubrick moved to DayBlack, and he opened up a belt store. Kubrick's belts. Okay, so he starts to notice that he's starting to run out of business. Like, his sales are going down. He's getting eviction notices, but he's walking around and he's seeing all these kids with their pants hanging down. And he's like, wait a minute, hold up. You mean all of you guys are sagging, but I have a perfectly good belt store here and nobody's buying my belts?
Right.
So, really, that whole thing came from me, the frustration of me seeing butt cleavage on a daily basis, to the point where I just got fed up with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, when I see that, it's just like saying kiss my ass. When I see it, you're telling me to kiss your ass. You know? Sure. And that might be, I'm an old man. I'm old. I'm sorry if I'm old. I'm old, but I'm bitching and complaining right now. But this was my way to pretty much address that frustration. But I tried to do it in a way where it didn't just seem like, oh man, I'm just being a grumpy old man. I tried to make it into a legitimate problem that Kubrick, as a foreigner, he doesn't understand that this is a trend. He's just saying like, okay, well, maybe they don't know how to use belts, or maybe so he goes out and tries to teach them how to put a belt on, and like, no, this is how you do it. You do it like this, and that doesn't work too well. But it's just a little comic relief, just to show that it's not all serious, and just like I said, inject my own. Like I said, this whole book started with me as a way to vent my own frustrations at things that I couldn't necessarily. I mean, what I'm gonna do? Scream at everybody with their pants? Like, I'll be hoarse, So it's just my way of kind of addressing it, just making light of it, And hopefully there'll be some copycats out there that actually do that, Let's do it, y'all. Let's do it.
It's something. It's I thought it was a cool little story, and that's what makes the book interesting. That You're not just going through the steps of the characters themselves, but they actually interact with the world.
Right.
There's things happening and things that you feel may even touch on how you feel about life or the world. So
and that's just another one of those examples of stretching your story out. You know, this is like Kubrick is a character that came out of me having to write more than what I had. Like I had to stretch the story out and this world out. So he was just a result of that, you know.
So your influences. Well, the one influence for Merce was the way Mos Def looks, right? And but looking at the comic book, there's a bunch of stickers that you have added to. I think where Merce is that his casket?
It's his coffin. Yeah.
It's his coffin. His coffin, and it has all these stickers.
Right.
So how much music do you listen to, and it's influencing into the way you tell a story?
I listen to a lot of music. All of the stickers you see on that casket is definitely stuff that I was listening to during the creation of DayBlack, which is just kind of a shout out to everything that lyrics that might have made me think one way, or a beat that might have kind of dictated the way one scene looked. So yeah, all the casket is really just a shout out to everybody that influenced it sonically. And we even did a mixtape. Me and DJ Jamai, we did a DayBlack mixtape a couple years ago. Yeah. And pretty much did all of that until my editor told me that I might not want to do that because of
because of using other people's music.
So we pretty much discontinued it. But there's a few people out there that should have it, but we weren't selling it. We were just giving it away with copies of the book. But you know, he said that might come bite me in the ass one day. So
okay, well I know how we can do that though. Still,
let's do it.
When the Spotify playlist,
and I actually have that.
Okay, that's it. So and then we post it on the website, and we can do a little player on the website, or even just a link to go to the Spotify. If they, all you got to do is have a Spotify account, and then people can listen to the list. Yeah, that's be good. I like that. Yeah, because then that gets you into that mode.
Since you told me about that, I've been building, like every time I put it, I'm adding stuff to it like every other day.
Oh, good. Okay.
Got a bunch of stuff on there now.
And that's like the soundtrack to when you're reading the book.
It is.
Nice.
Yeah, you know.
I like it. So who's the artist? It says painting sometimes helps me translate my dreams. So Merce is an artist.
He is an artist, yeah.
He has some skills, and of course, because he does more than just tattoos.
Right.
He does the fine art and other things.
And he was that before. When he was a slave, he was an artist. So this is just something that carried over, and that's why he likes doing tattooing so much, because it's art, you know. And he hadn't been able to really do that throughout the years. So this is the first time he's kind of winding down and just kind of doing what he wants to do.
Right. Okay. Very cool. I think there's no way to avoid it. We got to get to the main characters. Okay. And I'm not going to ask you any more than what's in the book, but we'll talk a little bit about what's in the book. So that way we get a sense of where's the story coming from right now. Right. So Merce has a brother named Bryce. And their mother name is?
LaRue.
That's right, LaRue.
Yeah.
And they were slaves.
Yes.
When they were bitten by vampires. Yes. Or something happened.
Yes.
And we see that in issue 7, some of the backstory, because LaRue's talking about it.
Yes.
But the only thing that we see in the actual books in the beginning was the story from Merce's point of view. Okay. So it's not a whole lot of detail. It's only what he remembers and what he knows.
Well, in issue 7 is from her memory.
From her, yeah. So now we get more of the story.
Right. And you're starting to understand why she isn't just the kind of the evil lady after him, you know. That she actually has a real reason, you know.
But from Merce's memory, she was a loving, caring person up until he turned into a vampire.
Right.
And then his whole life changed. And why did he take out? Why didn't he stay? And is that a choice that he made himself?
Well, initially, when he gets bitten, first of all, he doesn't even know he's being bitten by a vampire. He's just thinking it's an animal or something wild, because it's from the back, so he never even saw what bit him. So his first reaction is to run. So as he's running, the transformation is starting to happen to the fact where he's running like at super speed. He's just running out of fear. And as he's running, he's transforming, and then he just kind of gets this urge to just keep running, you know, because I think he senses the freedom of he's getting away from this plantation, he's getting away, and he just keeps going, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like Forrest, like run Forrest, run. he keeps fucking running, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't stop. And then he realizes he's a vampire later on. Like, I hadn't gotten that far in the book yet either, because there are things that I cover. Like when he realizes he has these powers, he goes to different plantations. He starts to free other slaves. Even the stuff that Nat Turner got credit for, he did. You know what I'm saying, or he incited. But he's a vampire, so nobody's gonna say, "Hey, a vampire did this." But you know, it's kind of like again Forrest Gump, how in the movie they would put him in certain historical parts of time, and he was like, "Oh, he was there." It's kind of like that.
That is
like, we
crazy
got him on,
good.
Like I have a scene that I did where Merce is backstage with Jimi Hendrix, and he showed him he told him to set his guitar on fire, which is an iconic thing. Like, that's all Merce. Merce was like, he stole his book, like all this stuff, man. So it's just having fun, man, and just shouting out some of my favorite things. I'm a big pop icon reference type guy, you know.
Nice.
So.
That is a good twist. So he take off not because it was a conscious decision, but he's trying to get away from whatever things bit him. But eventually, that running gives him the extra freedom that because he was a slave. That is one of the things that part of your life story. You just got to get away. You want to get away from that life anyway, and it just kind of kept on going. And now that's the kind of person that he is.
Right.
That's good. I like that. That's good, man. I like how you wrap all these things together. Nice and neat. It's really cool.
Thank you.
It's really cool. Last thing I'm going to ask you is, and I just saw it a second ago and I forgot what it was. There goes the Mexicans. I'm looking at the book. Oh, why is he having those blackouts?
The blackouts, okay, because his mother is a telepath. So the blackouts are his mother's way of getting his attention and letting him know that this is her way, and she's injecting these dreams with messages, and these dreams as flashbacks because she's trying to get his attention and kind of bring him slowly towards the realization of what happened to him, because he still doesn't know to this day that his mother bit him. He doesn't know why anything happened, why it happened. He still thinks his brother is dead, his girlfriend Nell is dead, but he's going to find out they aren't. But yeah, the dreams are just her way of like, all right, I don't know where you are in this world, but I'm going to mentally. She's kind of like Cerebro. She could like kind of sense where everybody is, so she's just sending these little things to really just get him to stop his daily routine and be like, hey, something's not right. So eventually, the story is him trying to figure out why he's having these dreams and what they mean. And they definitely mean something. Like a lot of the dreams, they look weird and bizarre. Like for instance, the two-headed lion that you'll see throughout the book. The two-headed lion is significant because it represents him and his brother who were conjoined twins at the head. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the two-headed lion comes from. His mother is a Leo, so that's just where that kind of just all mixes up, you know. So, you know, it's all, you know. Very it's crazy because the, well, no, I'm not even going to say that. Yeah.
No. He's about to give out more of the story.
Some more stuff, yeah.
Very cool. So we're at the end of the second volume. We're getting to where Bryce shows up and he's trying to taunt him. And he doesn't know, and the vampires are coming. So if I'm trying to not make assumptions, but it sounds like maybe some of those vampires could be her army. If she's hardcore like that. And I'm not trying to add stuff to your story that you may already have.
Not necessarily.
But
they know, all vampires definitely know who she is.
Okay.
Like, she's definitely a major player in the vampire world.
And they know that DayBlack, the town, is their sunlight doesn't reach into the town, so you're able to walk around in the daytime, so they come in there for that too.
Exactly.
Nice.
Which is so many vampires out there, there's no way they can all live there, you know. Cause
right.
You're going to eat everybody in the town and just be walking around looking at each other, you know. So that's another reason he don't want them to come there, because he's like, that's going to mess my way of living up, you know.
So we're going to get into a point where Merce is defending the city, because that's his home, really. Yeah. He's defending his home.
Possibly after this first story arc. The main arc is to resolve his mother's her retribution that she needs to get for the things that were done to her.
Right.
And her kids being on board to help her do that, whether or not they're going to be on board, whether or not Merce is going to decide to stop his or to begin back killing people as he thought he was going to stop doing. So that's pretty much what the end of this arc is going to be about. So the next arc, I don't know. You know, there's so much to do. Like it's so much to do. Like I got so many characters that I have just waiting that I can't put into this arc because it's just not time yet. Like I have a really cool werewolf character named Windsor I came up with.
I started seeing your drawings. You've been posting them.
Yeah, because I'm just tired of holding on to him, man. Like I've been drawing. Like, he is so cool, man. He's gonna be a really cool part of the DayBlack universe. Him and Merce are gonna be buddies. And I think the name of that book that's gonna be called Moon Rock.
Okay.
Yeah. That has to do with because Merce, if you read the first volume, you see Merce was an astronaut at one point, and he went to the moon.
Okay.
And he actually has a piece of the moon that he brought back with him, which in turn affected this guy who was a werewolf. But there's a dynamic there that I'm not going to get into, but that's why it's called Moon Rock.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
We've had Kaylee. Kari. It was. I have most of the letters correct. Kari joined us. And but thank you for sharing all of those insights into the story. It is all available at DayBlackComic.com, and I promise you that tonight issue 7 will be available for download on the website. You don't want to miss out on the story so far because issue 7 answers a whole lot of things that have been going on in the first 2 volumes from issue 1 to 6, and it's just been setting the stage. And the way Keef has been writing the story and drawing it, the art style is amazing. It brings you into that world, and it's not like any art style you've seen before.
Thank you.
So it doesn't. You don't feel like you're seeing something that you've seen before. The story is unique and the art is unique, so it actually draws you in, and you feel like I'm starting to catch on to what's happening.
Thank you.
So this is really cool. I need to practice my Keef Cross art style a little bit more.
You don't need to practice anything. You don't need to practice nothing. Quit playing.
I like all that little line work. I'm all about the lines.
Man,
I'm all about the lines.
You can do it if you wanted to.
Yeah, I know. But I still want to practice it more.
Okay.
Keith did one of my tattoos. I got him on the list for another one.
Okay.
I want that Merce skull.
Okay.
That is hard.
I got you.
That is hard. Okay, so last words for today. We can find, second to last, we can find you anywhere on the internet under
Keef Cross and DayBlack Comic.
Okay.
That's it.
So there, just go anywhere, just do a search anyways, because he's got
Google,
lots of articles.
You can Google me.
Yeah, that too.
Keef Cross, DayBlack.
Because you got lots of articles. You were just included in the last issue or the last volume of Black Comics. What is it called?
Black Comics Returns.
Black Comics Returns.
The anthology book full of all black comic creators, or not even black, but diverse, just a diverse amount of comic creators. And
because that cover was done by Ashley Woods, I think.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was the Ashley Woods cover. I need to get those books.
Yeah.
But you saw that at the
library, and I got it. For 3 weeks, I was like, I need this book.
Did you get one or two?
Just one. It was only the second.
You got the second volume?
volume?
Yeah, that's the one I'm in. Yeah, man, that book's really cool.
Yeah.
I just signed it for you.
Yeah. It's a library copy though, so it don't matter.
And you can also get DayBlack is also in some libraries too. So just call your local library, and it's in quite a few libraries.
Okay, nice, cool. So go ahead and go online, find Keef Cross, check out the story. DayBlack Comic. He's on Instagram. He posts a lot of that work in progress on Instagram, so you can see his art style, see how the panels develop. And the last question for today, and for this series of the Masters of Storytelling, Keith, what kind of advice do you have for somebody who's looking at you and they are starting out on their path? They want to be comic book artists, they want to be a tattoo artist, or they want to have something that they create that is theirs. What is 1 or 2 things or 5 things or 10 things they should do when looking ahead and choosing to have this type of career?
Number one thing I would say is to stay true to yourself and what you want to do. I think it's good to like other artists and admire other people, but I wouldn't try to emulate what anybody else is doing. It's so saturated right now with creators that you really want to stand out as much as possible. that's the main thing I would say. For me, it's always been about originality. And yeah, staying true to myself, and that's all I can really say, man. That's the number one thing I can say. Stay true to yourself. Love what you're doing. Draw all the time. Draw every day. You that's the main thing. Like,
yeah.
If you're gonna do comics, you're gonna be drawing. Like, there's no escaping it.
Yeah.
And then you got to get to a point where if you get with a publisher, you're gonna have deadlines. You're gonna have to draw. So it's just better to get yourself acclimated to drawing every day, writing every day, because once you do get that big break, they're going to really be asking you to do it. So if you're not ready, you know that's going to be a hard thing to try to kind of pick up the slack.
Stay in the business.
Yeah. So you want to get started at doing that already. So
all right.
Yeah, stay true to yourself. Draw your ass off. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for those of you leaving comments on the YouTube channel. We got Jack Jasm. Check him out. And Shamari Simmons, aka Illy World.
Hey, what up, y'all?
Thank you all for joining us on YouTube. I had to check the Facebook to see what messages or comments are left behind, but I will go ahead and come back. It was a bad angle, sorry about that. But go to the YouTube channel, Art is King. Subscribe. Check out the Masters of Storytelling series, and we have more artists coming up. The next one is going to be a month from now. But that will not be the only time we go live. There'll be some other opportunities. Big ups to Sam Flax for giving us the space. Come on now and check out some of the things that we got going on here. There'll be there's going to be some upcoming events real soon in classes and workshops. So stay tuned for that. Big ups to our sponsors, Velocity Screen Print. They make the t-shirts. This is a 3-year-old shirt from the event that we put together, and Velocity was the printer for the shirt. So check us all out. All right, subscribe, save, share. I don't know why I said save, but subscribe, share, like, retweet, all those things. We'll talk to you later. This is DeltaTangoMike. Big ups to Kelsey Jackson of BG Illustrations for helping me get set up. And Cinemaker. Try out Cinemaker. I'm using Cinemaker for the cameras, which are nothing but iPhones and an iPad, and I am live on the iPad with some iPhones and this software called Cinemaker app, which is free. Go ahead and download it now at the App Store and try it out. You'll love it. All right, talk to y'all later. This is DTM, and let's go ahead and say goodbye.
Peace.